welcome. I've been thinking, in an age where self-reflection is highly valued, how do you know where to begin when setting out on your self-awareness journey? Should you turn to religion, therapy, or meditation? Today, we will discover how the Enneagram can help you reflect on your personality with the secondhand advice from the book, The Road Back to You, an Enneagram Journey by Ian Morgan Cron and Suzanne Stabile. We'll talk about the Enneagram history and learn the numerous personality types represented by each of its 9 points and how these types connect. How will that help you become more knowledgeable about your own feelings and actions? The solution is simple. You can only deal with your flaws if you acknowledge them and understand why you act the way you do. With the Enneagram, you'll be thinking inquisitively and consequently making better life choices. Today, we'll find out how your personality type shapes your identity, what makes perfectionist so imperfect, and that your whole personality type can change in difficult situations. What exactly is the Enneagram? It is a system of personality typing that describes patterns in how people interpret the world and manage their emotions. It has its roots in ancient history and is a 9-pointed geometric diagram used for self-knowledge. The Enneagram of personality types is an outgrowth of the ancient Christian faith. Its exact origins are unknown. However, some people believe that it can be traced back to a 4th century Christian monk who is often attributed with having created the concept of the 7 deadly sins. There are 9 total personality types, and each of the Enneagram's 9 points represents one. Each of these points connects to a number on the diagram, which can tell us exactly how we view the world, in addition to how we feel and act. Each personality type also connects to other numbers across the diagram, which can help us recognize how we behave in numerous situations, such as when under stress. Additionally, every personality type has 2 adjacent numbers referred to as wing numbers, both of which might affect your type. The entire point of the Enneagram is to help you assess your personality flaws so that you can achieve personal enlightenment. You can likewise use it to understand the actions of family, friends, and coworkers better. By empathizing with their outlook on life, you can connect on a deeper level. The 9 points of the Enneagram can be grouped into 3 classifications or triads. These are the gut, the heart, as well as the head. Let's take a closer look at the gut. The connecting motivation linking the personality types in the gut triad is anger. For example, type 8, the challenger, will undoubtedly be the first to object when she sees wrongdoing. They are natural leaders. Their weakness is a lack of ability to show vulnerability, which prevents them from forming significant relationships. Usually, they show anger by seeking out verbal or physical altercations. Type 9, the Peacemaker, is the exact opposite. They will avoid conflict by any means. The amiable Peacemaker is a natural arbitrator. However, since they never want to distress others, they subdue their own stress and irritations, which causes them not to express what they need from relationships. The third type in the gut triad is type 1, the Perfectionist, which also goes by the name the Reformer. Perfectionists are self-disciplined, ethical, and focused on detail. Improving themselves and the world is their primary agenda. They often see everything as either right or wrong. Perfectionists become angry when other people break the rules. This internalized anger becomes resentment. The 3 personality types in the heart triad are specified by their feelings. Just look at type 2, the helper. Encouraged by the wish to feel needed by others, they are self-sacrificing. The drawback is that helpers tend to allow relationships to define them. They also think that they deserve something from others for the help that they give. They take care of everybody's feelings but their own. Type 3 is the performer or achiever. This type sets huge goals and obtains fulfillment from achieving them. The more successful they are, the greater their feeling of self-worth. The adverse side for performers is self-delusion, as well as failure to own up to their mistakes. Performers have a hard time recognizing emotions in themselves and others and are highly image conscious. Finishing the heart triad is type 4, the romantic or the individualist. Romantics are naturally attuned with all the beauty as well as the catastrophe in the world. Their weak point is a propensity to separate themselves from others, which can cause moodiness, unpredictability, and self-absorption. The final triad is the head triad. The 3 types represented by the head triad are all motivated by fear. The first in the head triad is type 5, the investigator. Investigators obtain satisfaction from sharing their expertise with everyone they meet. They're the mavericks of the group. Failure for them is the fear of dependence on others. This shows up in their personality as defensiveness and cynicism and harsh judgment of others. Next in the head triad is type 6, the open and reliable loyalist. Loyalists feel secure with order and rules, seeking out security as well as stability. They worry over the fear of losing this security. They consider the worst possible scenario. As opposed to revealing fear as a response to an actual crisis, the loyalists make a crisis out of every nagging concern. Finishing the head triad and the Enneagram is type 7, the enthusiast. They're the life of the party with a glass half full overview of life. Enthusiasts have a hard time committing to anything. They chase instant gratification to avoid any negative emotions and are the type most prone to addiction. Their social life is always booming and they keep setting goals to sidetrack themselves. Now you know all the triads and each personality type within them. Are you all set to go deeper? Excellent. Even more numbers may shape your type. Next, we'll find out how a problematic circumstance can transform a perfectionist into a romantic. Each number on the Enneagram handles the attributes of their security or stress number. When you're feeling safe, your security number lends its positive features to your own Enneagram type. This is how they're connected. As an example, let's consider the self-disciplined type 1 perfectionist with the internal critic. Perfectionist security number is 7, the enthusiast. Perfectionists feel relaxed when they're devoid of obligation, such as when they're socializing with friends, and this is when they adopt a few of the enthusiast qualities. When they feel secure, perfectionists become outgoing, self-confident, and even daring. Yet, just as your number can obtain positive qualities through the good times, it can likewise adopt negative qualities when things aren't going smoothly. These negative qualities originate from your stress number. Under stress, the perfectionist adopts the attributes of the romantic. For instance, let's say a perfectionist has to work late at the office or is having marital problems. Under the influence of borrowed attributes from the romantic personality type, their self-confidence may shatter, and they can suffer from depression and be sensitive to criticism. Their internal voice will tell them that they're not good enough. However, it may appear disheartening, but recognizing exactly how your stress number influences your actions is a helpful method to examine which things overwhelm you. The more self-aware you are, the easier it'll be for you to make great choices. Each number on the Enneagram has a deadly sin. While your stress number is a negative reaction, your deadly sin is an unfavorable motivation. You cannot shake it. Every personality type has a deadly sin, a dark side that needs to be alleviated. The perfectionist's deadly sin is anger. The principles to which they hold themselves and others are impossible, and failure to measure up is inescapable. When something inevitably falls short of their unrealistic expectations, perfectionist anger shows up as a slow burning resentment that they hold on to. For the helper, pride is their deadly sin, as they believe they know what's best for everyone else. Performers are at risk of losing their sense of self as they become so accustomed to projecting an image they desire others to see. Their deadly sin is deceit, both of themselves and others. The deadly sin of the romantic is envy. They're so eccentric, they struggle to assimilate with others. They can't resist being jealous of those who quickly discover their own happiness and place in society. Investigators are entirely self-reliant. This way of life calls for a large amount of energy and resources. By hoarding this energy for their own, they commit the sin of avarice. On the other hand, loyalists yearn for security and safety and are ruled by fear's deadly sin. The enthusiast is designated the sin of gluttony, as this type will overindulge in pleasure to sidetrack themselves from any negative emotions. They usually go so overboard that they develop harmful addictions. The challenger type is aggressive and confrontational. They are guilty of the deadly sin of lust due to their desire to have power and avert control over others. They do this to deflect from their own weaknesses. Lastly, the sin of sloth symbolizes the peacemakers. By concerning themselves exclusively with the problems of others, they become slothful in managing their own obstacles. If you're intimidated by needing to confront one of your personality's most negative facets, bear in mind that every type has its own shadow side. Half of the battle is recognizing your shadow behaviors. The other half is making sure you manage them and tame them so you can be your ideal self. Let's review. The Enneagram is an ancient personality typing system and diagram with roots in Christianity. It can be utilized to gain greater self-awareness and recognize the behavior of those around us. By determining your Enneagram personality type and learning how your type responds to specific scenarios, you'll be on the way to making better, more informed choices in your life. So, what's your Enneagram type? How have you used this knowledge in your relationships with others? Comment below with your best advice. Please be sure to like and subscribe as well. And thanks so much for watching. Here are the Enneagram types at summer camp. Type 1, the perfectionist, goes to bed at 9, wakes up at 5. Type 2, the helper, brings extra snacks to share with everyone. Type 3, the performer, trying to win every single time. Type 4, the romantic, best at hammocking and arts and crafts time. Type 5, the investigator, brings a suitcase that is 99% books. They'll never get bored. Type 6, the loyalist, brings sunscreen, bug spray, band-aids, and has memorized all poisonous plant types. Type 7, the enthusiast, never sleeps, wakes everyone up to look at the stars. Type 8, the challenger, takes over as camp counselor. And type 9, the Peacemaker, hangs out in the pool and sunbathes.